Welcome back everyone. In today's video I'm going to follow up last week's video on how to make drawer pulls in your workshop by better automating the process. I received an interesting comment from Craftotech. I'll link to their channel in the description below. They wanted to know if there was a way to make these drawer pulls without having to do it on the bandsaw. And the notion that they had asked about whether or not you could take the blanks for these and just tape them together in a stack and then take your round over bit with the router and go over each side. I've tried that on larger projects, or larger pieces of wood rather, and of course you have to watch out for end grain because you have a lot greater chance of chip out and a few other things going wrong. Now we went back and forth a little bit and I thought about it and I said, well, what about if we did tape it up in a stack but also secured it with a pipe clamp? That way nothing will get thrown around or chipped during the routing process. I haven't tried this yet, this is just a theory. So in this video I'm going to try and automate this better and ensure that we can reproduce these shapes in a much quicker and more consistent way. Alright, if you haven't seen the small parts jig video, you should watch that. I'll link to that in the description below. If you haven't seen last week's video on how to make these drawer pulls, you should watch that as well. I'll link to that. But today, we're not going to focus so much on the small parts jig. We're going to focus on how to get this shape and how to automate that process without using the bandsaw. Of course, if you have a CNC machine, super easy. I don't have to tell you. You just set up your computer software and do it. I don't have a CNC machine, so I need other ways to automate. We're going to cut our blanks first out of this. We should be able to get about 8 handles out of this one piece of black walnut. I want to get this to about 3 inches, just over 3 inches actually, just give myself a little bit of breathing room. Set my stop. So we've got 8. The easiest way to do this to start is to clamp down a nice straight piece that you can use as a reference, and I'm going to line up all my blanks on here so I've got a nice surface to do that on. Okay, so that's taped together now. If I were to start running the round over bit on this, what could happen is it could start breaking apart due to the force of the router. Just because anything a router touches basically either wants to fly off, split apart, or get away on you. So you want to use some extra precaution. Okay, so now that I've got my blanks taped together, I'm going to put 2 sacrificial pieces on either end, so that we avoid chip out on the beginning and end of this. Tape that in place as well. I know it seems like I'm using a lot of tape, at least this first round. I'd rather use more than less. The end pieces do not have to be as accurately lined up. And we don't want to over clamp it because we don't want it to start arching. That should be enough clamping to make sure that it isn't going to go flying out on me. And that gives me a good start and end position with my router. I'm going to use this round over bit. Not too bad. I'm pretty happy with that. Try the other side. And it's pretty much that simple. Well, this came off pretty well. Really is as simple as you can make it. I may not go as deep next time. I went maybe a little too deep because I didn't really want this exact profile. I wanted maybe just a slight curve to it. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with this. Gave me nice consistent shaped pieces that I can use now as drawer pulls. This is as factory made as they get for a small workshop. I'm actually really impressed with how this turned out. There'll be some fine tuning to do to this process for sure. The sacrificial pieces that I had attached to either end worked out really well. What I was going for is to get a batch of perfectly identical shapes, particularly if you're going to go about selling these as a product. You want to make sure that you get that consistency every time. Now, it's not impossible to do it on the bandsaw. You can do it, it's a little extra work. This is probably the way I'm gonna go from now on, just because of how easy it is to do it once you've got everything set up. Thanks again, Craft-A-Tech, for inspiring me to go and research this a little bit and experiment. That's usually how you get better results, is just by experimenting a little bit in the workshop. Of course, now that I'm looking at this, you could definitely take other router bits and create different custom profiles depending on the style of drawer pull you want to create. If you have a CNC machine, this is a piece of cake, but I think it's actually faster on the router, a lot less setup. I'd like to thank everybody who has contributed to this channel through my donation page or through Patreon. If you haven't contributed yet and you want to contribute, head on over to my donation page right over here. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. There are a couple more videos on this side you can watch. Until next time, thanks for watching and have a great day.